Cool. And then I can put this in slideshow mode. Ooh. So I could have added notes. I didn't know it would do that. That's really cool.
I'm just gonna. Okay, I just want to make know that would do that.
I'm gonna see if I can get it more centered.
I really wouldn't try to touch that.
Don't worry, I've done this like a million times.
Okay. Just like after they said the chord is.
I've had to set up full ones before because I'm like, yay, we got more people! Woo! We'll be starting pretty soon here.
Yeah.
9:52. Yeah, you're gonna have to be my time watcher as well.
Okay. After that, I can probably give a disclaimer.
Yeah, you can do the disclaimer.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, they gave us a very late time slot, so. But I'm glad we have some people showing up. It's very fun.
You know, I wouldn't miss it really hard.
Yes, I love that. I love to hear that. Good.
I saw it on the list, and I'm like, oh, I have to go to that. And then this guy saw it, and was like, oh, did you see this?
Good. Okay, that makes me so happy.
We're 4 strong.
Yes, 4 strong. You know, that's all the audience I need.
I remember when I was playing the first one, because I played the second one first.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the first one, because it's been a while, and I'm like, oh my god, the controls.
Yeah, they're rough.
I forgot original Xbox games are like this.
No, but you know what? The levitation is so broken.
It's so fun, though. I love it. I know why they nerfed it in 2, but it's just not as much fun. You can, like, cross the map. Oh, it's so nice.
I think I'm one of few people that does not like the levitation. It bugs me. I don't like being slidey.
I love it. I like being slidey, though. Because I like the bowling ball level. I love the bowling ball level in Psychonauts too, and I made that one. I'm so good at it.
I did it, but I had to get through like an entire episode of The Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I did it like one shot. I fell off once the entire time. I was so good at that.
I remember my friend was like, I had to edit my settings because my friend was playing, and they looked at me, they're like, why did you put all the assist features on? I'm like, because I'm here for the lore.
There you go. That's what I did too. I put I'm not good at video games.
Yeah.
But I was like, because I stopped playing Psychonauts 1 because I was playing on a keyboard and trackpad on this. And that was a nightmare. And so I went directly to 2, and I just put all the assist features on. I was like, you know what? We're just going to get the story. Yeah. But yeah, don't try to play Psychonauts 1 on a trackpad. It is. Mia's dance party was a nightmare. Horrifying. I do not want to know what Meat Circus would be like on a trackpad. I think I would leave.
Take your computer out back and shoot it.
Yeah.
Basically, escort mission.
Yeah, I will explain a lot about Meat Circus in this one.
We are.
Like this on our original Xbox when we were kids, we could not get past the Meat Circus.
And the original version of Meat Circus was harder than it is now, so I can imagine.
Now. It's just one of those games that was like obscene. There's one part that's like obscenely hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like the test of strength in Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah, I think it's not even like hard for little kids. It's hard for everyone. Meat Circus is just a nightmare. And like they nerfed it when they made the ports for the game, but even the nerfs.
As far as like in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the point, is for it to be.
Yeah, it really is. It kind of adds to like what's going on in the story, and it's a great part of the story. Like, I was discussing with a friend. It's like a lot of people don't really pay attention to the story because it's so difficult. But that is like such a, I don't know. We'll get into it. I'm not going to spoil the panel. I have a lot to say about Meat Circus.
Kids watch is the psychology of sex.
Yes, that one's a really good one.
Like I keep up with it every time he uploads a new video.
It's so good.
There's also there's a playthrough with some of the devs.
Oh,
where they just talk about
yes. I've seen little pieces of that. I need to sit down and watch like the whole thing. Yeah. Same with Psych Odyssey. Oh, we're almost
57.
57. Few more minutes. But yeah, Psych Odyssey, I need to sit down and watch that one because it is long. We got another person in here. Yay! Okay, we're doing good.
For 10 p.m.
Yeah, for 10 p.m. This is full house.
Oh.
There's this guy. I was at Emerald City Comic Con a few years ago. They had all their celebrities for like photos and autographs in like a separate building, 4 blocks from the main building. I'm like,
Oh,
I will go that way for my favorite voice actor. What are you talking about?
Exactly. What time? I'm gonna grab some water really quick.
yeah, okay.
It hasn't been a minute. Oh my god.
What is time?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. You're gonna be the one talking. 58 now. Oh, they're doing maintenance on the lights. Because they're flickering. Shout out to the light man. 58.
Okay, almost there. What? Maybe I should get more water. Oh, they're fixing that light. That's interesting. That is an interesting light. Almost there. 2 minutes.
1 minute.
1 minute. Honestly, I am going to start explaining some stuff because we only have 1 minute.
Oh yeah, give my disclaimer.
Oh yeah. If you want to do your disclaimer first.
Thank you.
Which you guys have played the game, but
Yeah.
we'll still run the disclaimer.
Psychonauts is at its core a game about trauma. Any kind of trauma a person could have is gonna be in there. There's some stuff that wasn't in the game that we're probably gonna talk about too.
Yeah.
And it's worse.
So be aware.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is, this is mostly us going through the first game and then some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But we have trivia sprinkled between the slides just to make it interesting for you guys. Most of them are multiple choice. A lot of them are very easy. There's a few deep cuts that might be hard. If you answer a question correctly, you can come up and pick a prize. Unfortunately, the Razzes had a little accident and they're missing their arms. You can glue these back on with super glue really easily, but you don't have to pick a broken Razz if you don't want. Sasha's fine. This beautiful poster of the Aquata Family Circus that I drew. It got a little damaged in the mail, but other than that, it looks great. So any of those you can pick if you answer a question correctly.
Yeah.
And most of them are multiple choice, so easy. You can just guess if you don't know it.
What? It is 10 too.
It is 10. Okay. Welcome, Psychonauts, a 20-year retrospective, because it came out 20 years ago, 2005. Crazy. Go ahead and click. So Psychonauts starts way before the studio that created it was a thing. It starts with Tim Schafer working at LucasArts. While he was working on the game Full Throttle, he came up with an idea for a level where the main character would go trip on peyote out in the desert, and it would be kind of like a cool drug trip level. And while he was explaining this to someone else, they thought he meant like going into someone's mind, and he's like, "Oh, I like that better." So that he kept in his back pocket. When he made his first, his game studio Double Fine, they decided to make that their first game ever. Originally, the character who was going to be the main character was going to be an ostrich with dissociative identity disorder, but they thought that wasn't relatable enough because, you know, it's an ostrich. It's kind of weird. So, go ahead and click to the next slide. They decided to change it to a weird little boy with a big head and a strange hat and a strange skin color. That's right. This guy was the first protagonist for Psychonauts, which brings us to our first trivia question. What is the name of that little blue guy? Is it A, Baskin Hellmouth, B, D'Artagnan Allstubly, C, Hansel Grunt, or D, Hooligan Nosebleed? If you know it, raise your hand, or if you want to answer. And you can just guess if you don't know. Go ahead. B. It is B. It is D'Artagnan Allstubly. If you want to pick a prize, you can go ahead and pick a prize. Thank you for answering correctly. So, D'Artagnan, that is a name that comes from the Three Musketeers. And Alstublieft is a Dutch word that you say when you hand something to someone. Tim Schafer heard that while on a trip, and he was like, you know what, that makes a good last name. But fun fact, the rest of the names here are actually on the development sheet for the list of possible names for protagonists, which also included things like Boba Fett's Hot Springs as a name for the protagonist. I don't know why. I think they were just kind of spitballing. Anyways, go
That
ahead.
just came off of LucasArts.
Yeah, of course. So, Dart, as we know him, they called him Dart because Raz was Raz and Dart is Dart. He actually made it pretty far into the game. This is from the cutscene with Gloria way later in the game. It was pretty much completely animated and everything. Now, the original reason given for Dart not being in the game is that his hat was kind of weird. The hat had like physics to animate it. It's a big, long sleeping cap. That took up 87% of the game's resources. So that was a big reason. But the actual reason, the actual solid reason, was that he looked weird next to the other characters. Which some of the characters look way weirder than him. But I guess next to like Sasha and Mia, he looks like Bobby. Yeah, Bobby, exactly. Benny, all the campers. So he was replaced by Rasputin. He was named after an animator at LucasArts named Raz McMelvian. His nickname was Raz. Now, Raz's name was chosen before Raz McMelvian decided to come over to Double Fine and work there. When he came over to Double Fine, they were like, okay, this is getting confusing. We have Raz, and we have Raz the video game character. So they decided to extend Raz to Rasputin. Originally, it was Rasputin with the S, like, you know, the Russian guy. They changed it with the Z so that it would be trademarkable. Also, you can see down here, it still says D'Artagnan on the concept art. Okay, go ahead and click. So, we're getting into the game now, the first game. There will be spoilers ahead for Psychonauts 1 because it's 20 years old. If you haven't played it by now, you probably have heard some of the spoilers at least. We're not going to be spoiling Psychonauts 2, so don't worry about that. So, the setting, Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. Now, Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp is built where a town used to be. The town was called Shaky Claim. It was built on a deposit of Titanium, which is a purple mineral substance that makes psychics more powerful, but it can also make you kind of crazy. Usually that happens when you're not psychic. The Titanium came from a meteorite that hit that area many, many years ago. Now, Shaky Claim kind of fell apart because everyone in the town started exhibiting mental illness because of the Titanium. It exacerbated whatever mental illness was there before. They eventually built an asylum across the lake from where the summer camp is. That's where all the people in the town went, and it ended up having more patients in the asylum than there were people in the town. So Shaky Claim became nothing. The asylum ended up shutting down. We'll get into that later, don't worry. And Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp was built by the Psychonauts to train psychic children to become Psychonauts. Now, here's the campers, the lovely campers. We have some very important characters here, so I'm going to go over a few of them. We have Lily. She's dressed as Lily. Lily is the daughter of the head of the Psychonauts, Truman Zanato. She is also the love interest for the game, but she's kind of a badass, so we love her. We have Dogen over here. Dogen is a sweet little boy, but he kind of has a problem where he tends to blow people's heads up. So he's wearing a tinfoil cap. That stops it. It's good. It's fine. Dogen is actually the grandson of one of the founding members of the Psychonauts. We also have Ford Cruller. Now, in the beginning of the game, you see Ford Cruller all over the camp in many different roles. But that's not quite who he is, but we'll get into that later. We also have our instructors. Right there in the center is Coach Morso Oleander. Yeah, he's so short, his parents named him Morsel. We also have, flanking them, Agent Sasha 9 and Agent Neo Vidello. They are actual Psychonauts agents, so they work for the spy agency, but they're kind of being like guest teachers at the camp, which is very exciting for Raz because he's read all about them in his favorite comic, True Psychic Tales. Go ahead. Now we have another question for you guys. During the development, they used a real-life social media to kind of get the camper characters down. What social media site was it? Was it MySpace, Facebook, Friendster, or LiveJournal? Remember, you can guess.
It's Friendster.
It's Friendster. Okay, so Friendster, this was originally hosted on the actual Friendster website. Tim Schafer liked Friendster because that's where he met his wife. But Friendster, they made profiles for all the campers way before the game even came out. And they played out little interactions between them in the comments of all the profiles. They eventually ported that over to MySpace. So this was kind of a trick question, because if you said MySpace, I would have given it to you too. MySpace, it's the only one that had a Raz profile. The Friendster one did not have a Raz profile. Now that only exists on, well, actually, it doesn't even exist. It's in an archive on the Internet Archive. They eventually ported the Friendster account over to a homemade website called Campster, where they just kind of recreated the Friendster format. And then that was because you can't have fake profiles on social media sites anymore. So the Friendster site, the Campster, only exists in the Internet Archive. And the MySpace one also exists in the Internet Archive. So thankfully they're not gone. Hopefully we don't lose the Internet Archive. Good? Okay, now let's get into our protagonist. So Raz comes from a circus family. You can see my favorite character back there. So he is a psychic. His family is very anti-psychic. They were cursed to die in water by a psychic. So that's why they don't like psychics, okay? Raz, at one point after a show, a mysterious stranger comes up to him, hands him a pamphlet for Whispering Rock. His dad catches him reading that pamphlet, tears it up, big incident. Raz runs away, and he goes to Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. Now, Mia's very mature. She's not going to let a kid be there without their parent permission, right? So she calls up his dad. And Raz is like, oh, I got to become a Psychonaut fast because my dad's coming. So that kind of sets up the plot. But things are going to get weird. Okay? Now we start with the first level. This is Coach Oleander's level. Basic braining. It's supposed to be a tutorial, but it is a brutal tutorial, let me tell you. So, Oleander is kind of a weird guy. He's very militaristic. Oh my gosh. Militaristic. So he loves the military. He wants to be like a big, buff, strong guy, but he's tiny. He's like a little potato. Okay? But in this level, it's all very like guns, battles, everything. And at one point, you find something called a memory vault. Memory vaults are things that when you smack them open, they reveal someone's memories, like a certain specific part of their life. This one is filled with Oleander doing all these heroic things in the military. But if you notice, that doesn't look like him. He's not that tall. So something's up with that. There's also things called mental cobwebs in there. And mental cobwebs are something that blocks certain sections of the area. And you have to unlock something called, it was like the mental duster or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a cobweb duster.
Yes. So you have to unlock that later in the game to get to those areas. And there is one that's covering another memory vault. So there's some other weird things happening in basic braining, and notably bunnies. There's bunnies all over the place. That seems kind of weird with Oleander's whole thing, right? Like, why are there bunnies? And then when you get to the end of the level, after the log roll, which is the worst part of that level, I hate the log roll, you see this weird hallway. This weird hallway that has bunnies on the baseboards. And there's a curtain. And Raz goes down the hallway, and he goes and reaches for the curtain, and Oleander drags him back. He didn't even expect him to get that far, so that was a fluke. Raz was not supposed to see that. But Raz got through basic braining. He was the only camper who made it through basic braining. Everyone else got exploded. So, go ahead. That brings us to Raz kind of being special in this game. So, Agent Sasha 9 was watching Raz as he went through this, right? And he noticed that he kind of showed some good potential. I couldn't think of the word. He showed good potential. So Sasha tells him to come down to his lab. Well, he doesn't really tell him. He just gives him a button and makes him figure it out. So Raz goes down to his lab. And first Sasha wants to do something called the brain tumbler experiment. The brain tumbler is a machine that lets you go into your own mind. When Raz does that, it doesn't really work out. There's a big monster in there and nothing looks right. And Raz can't get past that point. So Sasha is like, okay, I gotta train you to fight. in order to get further in this, right? So that brings us to Sasha's shooting gallery. Now, Sasha's mind is this beautiful black and white cube. It is very compacted, very compartmentalized, perfect and pristine. Just like Sasha, who shows no emotion. He's very cool-headed. He just stands there and smokes. Cool guy. So, he decides to teach Raz how to Psyblast. And he starts by teaching him how to Psyblast these things called sensors. Sensors appear in your mind when there's something that is not supposed to be in there. So Raz is like a foreign object in Sasha's mind. So the sensors appear, Raz shoots them, and Sasha's like, okay, keep doing that like 500 times, I'm out of here, keep practicing. Raz is doing this, and he's like, this is so slow. There has to be a way to speed this up. So he does. He speeds up the amount of sensors that come out. And it's working. He's like, we gotta go faster. Speeds up even more, everything breaks. Sasha's mind breaks. The cube, things start flying out of the cube. And they're all things that look like a childhood bedroom, or like his mother's closet. And that kind of links to what we find out from his memory vaults. Now, Sasha's mother died when he was very young. He very much missed his mother. So one day, he decided to read his father's mind. And it was all good. Like, all the memories of his mother that his father had were very nice, very sweet. And then he came across that one of his parents doing the do. And he ran away from home. Now, a lot of people read this as, like, sex scared him. But I really like her analysis of it, so I'm going to let her go ahead.
Very, very minor Psychonauts 2 spoilers here. There is a point in the game in which Raz does some messing around in a mind which he shouldn't do. And when he comes out of that mind, Sasha's like, hey, you really shouldn't do that. I'm disappointed in you. It's not our job to meddle and fix people. It's not our job to go too far. This is just a way for him to give you the smelling salts and be like, if you want to get out, get out. But before you know you've gone too far. Clearly, with Sasha being the one to step in, I think that his trauma here is that he invaded where he shouldn't have. He stepped too far. He's not permanently traumatized because he saw his mother naked, right? I mean, it's messed up. It wasn't permanently traumatizing. He realized that he overstepped, invaded his father's mind and memories, and he was like, I have to leave. I'm a danger.
There we go. See, I like that a lot better. It goes into a lot of the depth that this game gets into, which I really like. So, Sasha comes in, he helps Raz, they defeat the giant sensor that came out of nowhere. Looks disgusting, I hate that guy. They defeat him, everything's good, it's back into a beautiful little cube. They leave. Go ahead. And Sasha sends him to go see Ford Cruller. Remember, Ford Cruller is this weird old guy who keeps appearing all over camp in different uniforms. He keeps calling himself different things. Now, when Raz goes to Ford's sanctuary underneath the camp, where there is a large deposit of titanium, he finds out that's Ford Cruller who created the Psychonauts, founder of the Psychonauts. And Ford Cruller tells him, hey, when I'm outside in the camp and I'm wearing all those weird outfits, that's my disguise. And I won't break character, so don't even try to talk to me as if I'm Ford Cruller, right? But that's a little fishy, right? We'll get into that later. So Ford is there to teach Raz new powers. You get things like pyrokinesis from him, so he'll give you those badges. Ford also takes up residence inside of Raz's head, and Raz, throughout the game, this is the hint section of the game, you can summon Ford, and he will tell you what you need to do. Which takes us to our next trivia. What type of food summons Ford from Raz's head? Is it A, bacon, B, Dream Plus, C, a ham and sandwich, or D, apples? Go ahead.
Bacon.
Bacon, there you go. Go ahead. There's only the armless Raz's left, unfortunately, but you can glue them back on. Okay.
A little minor thing in Psychonauts 2. I don't know if you noticed, but when he's in barbershop
Yeah.
Ford, he has a little bacon
Yes,
tattoo.
bacon tattoo. And it says honey boar bacon or honey pepper boar bacon on it. Yeah, it's his favorite. Okay, go ahead. So then we go back into the brain tumbler experiment. Now, what I didn't tell you earlier is that when it starts, it is Raz's. That's the caravan that he grew up in. Looks normal. I mean, it looks scary compared to the one in Psychonauts 2, right? But he goes inside, and he breaks through what seems to be a giant egg. Weird. And then he's in this weird place, covered in weird spirals. and there's meat everywhere, like meat plants, and it's weird. That's not Raz's mind, right? He doesn't know what any of that is. And what's another thing that he sees in there?
A bunny.
A bunny. He follows the white rabbit into it, literally. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Okay, so now that he has Psyblast, he is able to move past the strange creature that was in there, which was completely in shadow, so we don't really see what it is. But it looks a lot like something we'll encounter later. He moves past it, he climbs this weird tower, and at the top is this freaky dentist and Dogen. And he makes Dogen sneeze his brain out with brain sneezing powder, which is a thing in this game. And it only gets weirder from there, because Raz leaves the brain tumbler experiment. He's like, whoa, this is crazy, I gotta warn people. But at that point, you don't know if it's real or if it's just in his head. He goes down by the docks, and Dogen comes over out of the water. He walks out of the lake. And he does not have a brain. He's just going, TV.
You know what?
And-
That's why Raz wears a helmet, because there's no such thing as skulls in this game.
Yeah. So, Dogen actually does not have a brain now. So that means whatever this dentist did, he's actually doing. And that means all the campers might be in trouble. Which takes us to a party. So the next thing Raz has to do is get the levitation power, and you can get that from Mia Vidello's class. Now Mia, very happy, fun, happy-go-lucky woman. Her mind is a whole disco. It's basically a big party. Nothing wrong with it. You bounce around there in your little ball, basically playing like pinball in there. Very fun. But not everything is as it seems. And there is a way to bypass this. Like, you could play Psychonauts and not even know this exists. It's an Easter egg. In a room off to the side, she has a secret. This one's not multiple choice, because I think everyone should know it. What is the secret? What is her trauma that you can find inside of her mind?
I think this is the one where the orphanage burns down.
Yes.
American screaming.
Exactly. Okay, so inside of her mind, if you go in this weird room that's off to the side that you have to like jump into, it's like an empty room. There's a chest of toys and there's some figments of children, and it's kind of creepy. But that's not all, because if the chest opens,
I was gonna say the little vault running around.
yes, there's a little memory vault running around. If you open the memory vault, it reveals that Mia has worked with children before. Mia used to work in an orphanage, and it's all beautiful. She's singing songs with the orphans. She's feeding them. And then she goes out for groceries one night, and she comes back, and the orphanage is burning down. And right then, she had not unlocked her psychic powers before. That is something notable in this. Her psychic powers unleash, and she can hear the orphans screaming as they die in flames. Horrifying, right? One of the most horrifying things in the game. Gets worse. If you jump into the toy chest, you end up in this room where there's these enemies called nightmares, and they're caged in. But it's like a burning room with these nightmares, and they're all screaming for Mia to come save them in children's voices. Now, originally, this was even worse, because there are some cut lines you can data mine from the game, where Mia is crying and screaming and begging for people to save her children, and they are horrifyingly realistic. So, if you guys want to listen to those, you can find them online. But, as you can see, Mia has everything kind of contained. Her trauma is still there, but she has them, like, locked up. She knows how to handle it. And that's kind of the difference between Mia and some minds you'll see later on. Yes.
One of the things I really like is if you look through all the stuff on the bulletin board, you see Mia being like, don't go across the water, don't go to the asylum, kids stay safe.
Yeah.
Like, she's very...
Mia's very good with children. Okay, go
One
ahead.
of the other things
Yes.
about Mia's mind is she's talking to you throughout most of this level. And if you go in that room before you go in the chest, she's like, hey, she's trying to lightly discourage you.
Yes. She's like, I don't want to ruin the party. Come on, get here. There's nothing in there. Okay. So, Raz goes back into the brain tumbler because now he has levitation, so he can go more places than that. He discovers blueprints for something called the brain tank. where there are plans to take the camper's brain, their psychic brain, put them in this tank, and let the psychic brains control the tank. So Raz fights this tank. He defeats it. Battles really hard. I know you hated it. And then he finds himself in a very familiar hallway with bunnies on the baseboard, and that curtain is open, and it has the plans on it. So whose mind is that? Oleander. So Oleander is the one who is plotting to take the camper's brains. Now, Raz gets yanked out of the brain tumbler by Sasha, and Sasha's like, hey, I got Psychonauts business, I gotta go. And Raz is trying to tell him what's happening, and Sasha's like, dude, I gotta leave, I gotta go. Sasha leaves. Raz goes to find Mia, because that's another adult who can help him, and she's also a Psychonaut agent. Mia's gone. Raz goes to Ford, because he was the leader of the Psychonauts. Ford goes, hey kid, I lied to you. My brain is fractured, and if I leave here, I forget that I'm Ford Crawler, so I can't help you. It's up to you. So Raz goes out. He finds Lily. Now, Lily has always hated camp, because camp is kind of boring, and she goes there every year. But now it's exciting, and she's like, oh my gosh, yes, I will help you, Raz. This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened at camp. So they're going to go off. They're going to save the campers. Not really, because this thing, the hulking lungfish of Lake Obligata, comes out, steals Lily, goes into the lake, and Raz has to go after her. Now remember, I told you, Raz is cursed. If he goes in water, he might die. Thankfully, there was this air bubble that kind of keeps him safe. But he has to go into the lake and fight the hideous hulking lungfish of Lake Obligata. Yes, I'm going to say the entire name every single time. So he fights her. He beats her. He finds out she was just a normal lungfish before. Little lungfish. And Oleander and that weird dentist, whose name is Caligosto Lovato, fun name to say, have changed her, have morphed her into this hideous creature, and are controlling her inside her mind. So Raz throws that door up on her head, goes inside her mind, and it is a kaiju level, which is so fun. So it's a little town. There's little lungfish running all over the place. You can stomp down buildings. You can step on them. They're having news reports where they're saying Goggalore is terrorizing them. And they have another kaiju in there named Coach Hamura. Coach Oleander. Coach Oleander is in the mind as like a heroic kaiju figure. But Raz fights him, he beats him, and he liberates the lungfish from the control of Oleander Lovato. The lungfish is like, hey, I can give you a lift over to Thorny Towers, home for the disturbed, which I told you about earlier. And that is where you'll find Dr. Lovato taking the brains out of their campers. And that brings us to our next question. What is the name of the hideous hulking lungfish of Lake Oblongata? Is it A, Betty, B, Darla, C, Ethel, or D, Linda? Linda. It is Linda. Good. Good. Okay, go ahead and click. Okay. Thorny Towers, home for the disturbed. Now, I already told you that this was filled with so many people from the town disappeared. And then they eventually ended up shutting down the asylum. They say it shut down 55 years ago. But that's kind of a mistake, because there are patients left over in the asylum, and not all of them seem to be over 55. So, some weirdness in the timeline there. You'll notice that if you play Psychonauts 2, there's a really weird thing in the timeline. I just think they don't really think about the timeline very much. Now, interestingly enough, you never see a full view of the asylum in the game, but this is some concept art that's pretty close to the final thing. The top of the tower was changed, but the bottom does look like that. So it's basically falling apart, but as I said, there are some inmates who were left in there. And Lovato, who used to be a patient in the asylum, has taken over it, and they're kind of stuck. So that brings us to one of the most iconic levels in the game, one that everyone talks about when they talk about Psychonauts. This is the Milkman Conspiracy, and it starts when Raz sees the security guard, he's also a patient, for the asylum, and the gates are locked and he can't get in, but this guy won't talk to him. This guy is babbling nonsense. He's talking about conspiracy theories.
He's going off on tangents. He's writing stuff on the walls. And Raz is like, well, I gotta get something to happen. So he goes inside of his mind. And that's where you learn clairvoyance. Now, clairvoyance is when you basically project yourself into someone's mind and see how they see you, which is a key thing in this level. Now, Boyd is just as conspiracy theory brained inside of his brain. He is going off in tangents. So Raz has to go off and try to figure out what this conspiracy theory is. And the level is this beautiful gravity-defying maze of a 1950s suburban neighborhood. Now, the conspiracy theory everyone's talking about is something about this milkman. They're talking about the milkman. There are people denying the milkman even exists. What's that deal? There's also surveillance all the time. People are watching Raz at every turn. There's these weird thing called G-men, which you can see over here, I believe. Oh, there. Yeah, there's one on the slide there. They're based off of the Spy vs. Spy characters. They won't let you pass certain areas unless you appear to them as something else. So if you pick up objects and then use clairvoyance on them, you can check to see if that object is like tricking them to make them think that you're one of them. So if you do that and go through the level, you'll also notice that there are little Girl Scouts called Rainbow Squirts following you, trying to kill you, shooting at you like a sniper. At one point, you confront one of them to try to figure out what the milkman is. She jumps out a window. She'd rather die. She'd rather die than to reveal what the milkman is. Now, Dead Mother is the leader of the Rainbow Squirts. And if you go find her, you fight her, because she is the one guarding the milkman, who's in this crazy, like den underground. You fight her, you beat her, and then the milkman rises. And this is what he said, I am the milkman. My milk is delicious. The milk is Molotov cocktails. And the milkman is there to burn down the entire neighborhood. This is because Boyd Cooper used to actually be a security guard in a mall. He got in trouble because he Molotov cocktailed the mall. Because he thought that people were against him inside the mall. So he's always been kind of conspiracy theory brained. Anyways, once you leave his mind, he has turned on the milkman persona, which was programmed into him by Lovato and Oleander. And he opens the gate. He also gets ready to Molotov cocktail the entire asylum. But thankfully he kind of freezes. So Raz has time. Go ahead. Which brings us into the asylums, where he meets a patient named Fred Bonaparte and another patient named Crispin Whitehead. Crispin Whitehead has sort of become Lovato's lackey, and he's not letting anyone go to the top of the tower that is not Lovato. He's guarding the elevator. But thankfully Fred's cool. We love Fred. Fred is like, hey dude, Crispin can barely see. If you look like a Lovato, he's going to let you up. I will give you my straitjacket to make it look like a doctor's jacket so you can go up the elevator. But I need you to help me first. Fred used to be an orderly at the asylum instead of a patient. Fred was actually working personally with Crispin to try to improve him, and he was doing this by having him play a game called Waterloo-O. Turns out, Crispin's amazing at this game. Fred sucks at this game. Fred gets obsessed with playing it because he just wants to win like once. And he keeps losing and losing, and it is so bad that the spirit of his ancestor manifests inside of his head. Napoleon Bonaparte, who is his ancestor canonically. And he's like, I'm going to force you to play this game in your head over and over until you win. Napoleon keeps beating him because Fred, like I said, sucks at this game. So he's stuck. He's stuck wandering around in a straitjacket, muttering French because Napoleon is in his head making him play a board game. So Raz gets in his head, he plays the board game for him, he wins, Napoleon's like, you're good, dude. You've restored our family's honor, I'm leaving. And Fred, once he gets out, he's like, you know what, I'm going to play that game again. I think I'm good at it this time. But Fred gives you the straitjacket. He goes, I am going to beat Crispin up. I'm going to strangle that little freak. But first, I'm going to go take a nap. So he walks off. He doesn't strangle Crispin, so you still have to get the rest of the items. Which brings us to our next patient,
Gloria Van Guten. This one is the most interesting one to me. I adore her. So Gloria Van Guten used to be an actress, a very famous actress. But now she suffers from these extreme mood swings. For one thing, she's so sweet to you. She thinks you're her leading man. She still thinks she's on stage, right? She's like, oh, you're my leading man. You're so young, but they keep giving me younger leading men. It's weird. And then she steps into the shadow, and she thinks you're trying to take her trophy from her, so she'll try to strangle you. And you need that trophy. That is one of the items you need to trick Crispin. So you gotta go inside of her mind, right? It is a beautiful little theater over here, where these weird little plant actors are putting on plays of Gloria's life. And you kind of learn how bad Gloria's life is through that. But there's some other characters in here. There's her inner critic, who hates all of these. His name is Jasper. There's her inner muse, Bonita Soleil, who will not go back on stage because she cannot stand the critic, and she cannot stand these plays, and you have to fix that to make her go back on stage. And there's also a phantom running around the theater, terrorizing it, making these plays bad. So, a lot of things to solve here. As you're going through here, you kind of learn Gloria was forced to become an actress. That was not her choice. Her mother was a famous actress before her. Or was she an opera singer? I don't remember. Is an opera singer? Yeah. Her mother wants her to become an actress, so she sends her off to this horrible boarding school, very abusive boarding school, where they force her into these horrible routines and they make her act. And then she comes out and she becomes a perfect star. So perfect, in fact, that her mother gets so jealous, and this is big trigger warning here, her mother gets so jealous that she kills herself to spite her daughter on purpose. And that is what made Gloria become what she is now. Basically, she read the news and she was so broken because she loved her mother. She was so broken that it threw her into these horrible mood swings. Now, once you do go through the level, you find out the Phantom is this guy, her inner critic. And you defeat him. And finally, Bonita Soleil takes the stage. There's also, I forgot to mention her, one of my favorite things, Becky, the stage manager. We love her. She is at the end of her wit's end. She cannot take this anymore. So Raz helping her is great. Good. Now we're to the last one of the inmate levels. This is Edgar Teagley. I think it's Teagley or Tegley. I don't remember. Now, he is an artist, and he is supposed to be painting a portrait of Lovato. The only problem is, anytime he paints something, he ends up painting a bull. He doesn't know why he blacks out, and then there's just a bull on the canvas. So he can't really paint Lovato because he's busy painting bulls. Raz is like, dude, I've been helping people all day, man. I'll go right inside that noggin and fix it. So he jumps in, finds out that Edgar, inside of his mind, is trying to build up this card tower to this beautiful woman who's up in the sky. But Edgar is missing the queens of his deck, so he can't reach her. And there's another problem. There's a bull called El Odio, which I believe means the rage in Spanish, who is running through the streets of this town, which is all painted in black velvet, by the way, gorgeous. And he's breaking down the card tower every time it gets high. So Raz is like, okay, lots of problems to solve again, let's go. So as you go through this, you kind of learn that Edgar's problem started in high school. Everyone you talk to is talking as if they're still in high school. Like, you're asking about painting this stuff, and they're like art class? Like, what are you talking about? You find out that Edgar, oh, well, actually, let's get to this. You do finally reach her, Lampita. And then his rival shows up, Dingo Flagrante, who is a matador. And you find out that's Lana. I forgot Dingo's name. He was some jock. Lana was Edgar's girlfriend in high school. Edgar was kind of obsessed with her. Gorgeous cheerleader. He was kind of like a nerdy little dude. He was on the wrestling team, but he was still kind of an outcast, right? So Lana dating him was like this huge boost to him. And then Lana gets bored with him. And she cheats on him with the jock, Dingo Flagrante. So that is why he is stuck in this loop, because he can't get over that. But then we find out El Odio is Edgar. He transforms into this bull because thinking about this high school experience makes him so angry. He turns into a physical manifestation of his rage. So it ends in this horrible bullfight, and you end up defeating both Lampita and Dingo Flagrante. And Edgar's like, you know what? Forget about them. I'm over it. We're good. So he finally paints. Oh, let me go ahead. Ask the question. Oh yeah, I'll go there. What animals are the painters in Black Velvetopia? Are they A, bulls, B, dogs, C, lizards, or D, donkeys? Go ahead.
They're dogs.
They're dogs. And the reason for that is because one of the topics that you see most in Black Velvet paintings is dogs playing poker. Which, the original Dogs Playing Poker was an oil painting. I don't want you to think that one was a Black Velvet painting. But there are multiple Dogs Playing Poker paintings, and a lot of them are Black Velvet. So, go ahead. So he goes ahead and he paints that painting of Lovato. Raz is able to trick Crispin. Crispin gets chased off by Fred. We don't know if he actually strangles him or not. I hope so. Raz takes the elevator and then he climbs the rest of the tower. And the whole time he's hearing like these weird voices behind him. And he's picking up the brains of the campers and he's kissing them. Which is kind of a bad choice because there is that one disease you can get from eating brains. But this woman right here is following him the whole way up. That is Lobato's minion, Shigor. So he reaches the top of the tower, and he finds that Mia and Sasha have been debrained. Lily's also there, but Lily has a really bad cold, so she can't actually smell the brain spelling or the brain sneezing salts. So she's just waiting to be debrained, and she's yelling obscenities, and she's so mad. So he's like, okay, I gotta get the brains back, but the brains are by Lovato. Shigor, turns out, does not want to be doing what she's doing. The only reason she's following Lovato is because he has her pet turtle, Mr. Pokelope, and he is threatening to torture this turtle if Shigor does not do what he wants. So Raz goes in there, he helps rescue Mr. Pokelope, Shigor grabs the brains, they go ahead and pop those brains back in. The Psychonauts take care of Lovato, throw him up the tower. Then Oleander shows up. And Sasha's like, Lily, Raz, we're taking you down to the ground. So they're supposedly defeating Oleander. And they exit the tower at the bottom. They're like, yeah, everything's great. Go ahead. Oleander wanders out. He no longer has a brain. Raz is like, where's his brain? Everyone else is like, don't worry about it. It's whatever. It's not whatever, because the brain tank shows up, finished brain tank, with Oleander's brain inside of it, blasts Mia, Sasha, Lily, I believe Ford's also there. They're all knocked out cold. So Raz, once again, is alone. He fights the brain tank. He pretty much defeats the brain tank. Everything's good. He gets blasted with brain seething powder. Brain, gone. Out. His body's wandering around. The only thing he can do with his brain laying on the ground is pick that brain up with his mind and toss it into the broken fluid area of the brain tank. So we have Oleander's brain. We have Raz's brain. They kind of mix together. And we end up with a horrifying mixture of all their trauma called Meat Circus. Circus part comes from Raz. Meat part comes from Oleander. So once you're in there, you have to protect a young Oleander, little Ollie, or little Oli, I think. And you have to kind of fight your way through this circus, very difficult level, by the way, while keeping him safe, and he dies very easily. So a lot of people don't like this level. This level was originally way, way more difficult. The hitboxes were not done well. Everything was kind of a mess. His health was way lower than it is now. If you play any of the modern ports of this game, it has been fixed a lot, but it is still a very difficult level. So as you're going through this, you've learned that Oleander's trauma is similar to Raz's. Oleander had a father who was a butcher. Now his father was this big, buff, tough guy. Oleander's this little sweet little boy, tiny little boy. And his father didn't really like that. Toxic masculinity. So his father one day decides to teach him a lesson because Oleander really, really likes the bunnies that his father raises to chop up to meat. And there's this runt of a bunny that he really likes in particular. So he's playing with this bunny. And he thinks his father's not going to kill this bunny because it's a runt. It doesn't really have much meat. And his father comes outside and he decides to kill the bunny in front of him to teach him a lesson. Now, Oleander has a psychic connection with this bunny, so it makes it about 10 times worse while his father is butchering this bunny in front of him. So that is when Oleander makes the switch to trying to become this big, tough military guy to impress his family, but he's never been that inside. Raz, as we know, has issues with his father. Now, his father, their conflict mostly comes from Raz being psychic and being super into the Psychonauts, and his dad wanted to keep him away from all of that. That's not good. His dad has anger issues. His dad blows up on him for this. Freaks him out. He thinks his dad's trying to kill him by making him train. His dad's just trying to keep him from, being into psychic stuff by making him do more circus stuff. So, Oleander's dad appears in the level as this horrifying butcher creature. You fight him, and then Raz's dad appears as this evil version of himself. And he starts flooding the tent. He's like, you gotta do your acrobatics to get up this tent. But maybe you forgot, because you've been doing Psychonaut stuff all the time instead of acrobatics. So as he's running away from his evil father, this ghostly voice starts popping in. We don't know what it is. It's just pushing into his mind. He's like, what is that? Is that me? Is that inside my own head? And then his actual dad shows up. His normal dad, who also looks quite menacing, but he's a normal dude. He shows up, and he's like, I finally found you. I've been looking for you. And he's like, Dad, how are you here? And he's like, oh, I'm psychic. I'm also psychic. His dad's psychic. His dad used his psychic connection to find his son and enter his mind to help him. And he sees that evil monstrosity of himself, and he's like, oh my gosh, I messed up big time. So this is kind of where Raz and Oleander's paths diverge, right? Raz's father messes up. And then Raz's father sees that he messed up and hurt his child and decides to go a different direction of acceptance and love. Oleander's dad did not do that. So Oleander ended up as this dude who wants to take over the world with brain tanks. So that kind of is the crux of Meat Circus that people don't really pay attention to. Oleander and Raz could be the same character. If Raz's story had gone differently, Raz could end up making brain tanks in the future, right? Anyways, the two evil fathers collide into a horrifying creature, and Raz's dad helped him fight them, and all is good. Go ahead. And even Oleander's reformed. Oleander's good now. So, everything's good. Everything's fine. Ford Cruller, who has figured out that he can leave the sanctuary if he straps a big piece of titanium to his back, is like, dude, you're a psychonaut. I have been making this child, this 10-year-old kid, a psychonaut. Everything's great until they find out Lily's dad, Truman Donato, head of the Psychonauts, if you remember, has been kidnapped. And they rush off to save him. And his dad gives him his blessing to finally be a Psychonaut. Which is a perfect setup for a sequel, right? Yeah, it was 12 years before the next game came out. Because Double Fine's next big game was Brutal Legend, which is a heavy metal game. So they made that one, and then they started focusing on little tiny games because they're a little studio. And big games like this are tough to make. In fact, Psychonauts 1 had a lot of problems. Psychonauts 1, when it was created, was supposed to be exclusively for the Xbox. But it took forever. And Xbox started focusing on the Xbox 360. And they pulled out and they were like, we're not doing this deal anymore. Xbox 360 actually came out when Psychonauts came out. And that one came out for the original Xbox. So, they weren't really eager to jump back into a sequel for Psychonauts after that. But it gained a big cult following, and that was going to be very helpful when it came to creating the sequel. Now, there's this thing that came out during that wait called the Lipo knock. Now, Lipo was the, what was it called? The placeholder name for the Psychonauts game while they're creating it. It is named after a restaurant in Chinatown in San Francisco, because when Double Fine creates games, they pick code names for their games named after restaurants in that specific neighborhood. So this was accidentally included in the port of the Steam game, which I believe was 2012 when it came out. It was quickly removed, but fans, of course, scraped it from the game, and they were looking through it. Turns out it's the development document for all of the character backstories. So we have backstories for characters who those backstories do not appear in the game at all, and they're very interesting. I highly recommend looking it up. But they're also kind of wacky. So I wanted to ask this question: which of these is not a backstory from the Lepo doc? A. Elka Doom predicting her parents' infidelity. B. Truman Donato wanting to turn Psychonauts more militant. C. Oleander's parents dying in a meat grinder incident. Or D. Dogan Bull killing his father by accidentally exploding his head. You can guess if you don't know.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah, go ahead.
A?
No, not A. That one's real.
B.
Not B. That one's real.
C?
Not C. That one's real. So we're done. This is actually when they were developing Psychonauts 2. Sam Ghoul, his sister, they were considering that as her backstory. Sam killing her own father by blowing up his head. These are all real. Elka Doom is the only camper who has a full-scale backstory where it reveals that her family have precognition and they always see like horrible events. And her mom was like super into that for some reason. That's why she married into the Doom family. But it all turns sour when Elka's like, you guys are going to cheat on each other, and they send her to camp. Truman Donato in the document is way different than the Truman Donato we know. He's like conservative and militant, and he wants the Psychonauts to be a military organization. He doesn't like that it used to be kind of like hippie-ish. Oleander's parents do die in a meat grinder incident, and that is kind of why he's doing what he's doing, because he can no longer make his father proud. He's dead. Yep.
I feel like it's also mentioned that his breaking point is that Sasha and Mia are tall.
Yeah, that's literally. They start working at the camp.
Yeah, it's that he's always been the short one.
Yeah.
Everybody calls him short, and Sasha and Mia are so tall, he freaks out.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, there's a million backstories in there. The Aquato backstory is mostly decanonized now because Psychonauts 2 took a different route, and that happened like halfway through development, so it wasn't meant to be that. But it's a really interesting read, and a lot of people did not think this was actually a canon document. They were like, "This like someone just typed this up, right?" But when Psychonauts 2 came out, Raz's family's names lined up with the doc, and that kind of confirmed it. So we do get the next game. Psychonauts 2 was mainly funded by crowdfunding, which is something that was not seen on that scale before. Like, there was games that were funded by crowdfunding, but Psychonauts 2, they raised a ton of money for that. During the crowdfunding, they also released a little VR game called Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin, which quickly wraps up the plot that was left hanging at the end of Psychonauts. They go, they find Truman, they save him. It's a short little 1-hour game. And a lot of people didn't play it because you can only play it with VR. But if you go find it on YouTube, it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting, the concept that they did with it. Go ahead. Then we get Psychonauts 2, my favorite. My favorite, of course, you can see her. Now, Psychonauts 2 also had a terrible development. Big surprise. So a lot of the funding ran out. So they had to find ways to get more funding. During this development, they actually recorded a documentary called Psych Odyssey. It comes free if you purchase Psychonauts 2 on Steam, and you can also watch it on YouTube and purchase it on DVD. I don't work for Double Fine. I don't know why I'm killing for them. But it's like 17 hours long. It is crazy. And it goes fully in depth on the development, follows them along with it. You also learn about the development of Psychonauts 1, which is pretty cool. And it turns out Psychonauts 2 was kind of a nightmare. They went for a more complicated story than Psychonauts 1 had. A lot more deeper, like, into psychology and all of that. And the storyline wasn't working, so they changed it halfway through. I won't tell you exactly what they changed. I will just say Raz initially did not have a grandmother. So that was interesting. So they do that. The game comes out, has all these new characters, none of the campers. You don't go back to camp. You go to Motherlode, which is the headquarters of the Psychonauts. We get the Psychic 6 over here. These are their beautiful stone fortress inside the Motherlode. We also get the interns, who are the like camper substitutes. They're not as deep as the campers. They don't have a lot of dialogue options, and they only show up a little bit in the game. That was the kind of the sad part of Psychonauts 2. It kind of lost the adventure game part of it, where you can kind of like interact with characters a million times and they have a million lines, and you can do all these different things like walking around and stuff. This is more of a straightforward, like you go through the levels, and there's a few little side quests. We also get Hollow Sports Type, the lesser head of the Psychonauts, or as she likes to be called, the second head. And we meet the rest of Raz's family, who it turns out are kind of discombobulated by all of this, because his dad turned around pretty quickly on everything, and they're like, what happened? What happened? Also, why didn't you bring the 10-year-old back home after all of this? So a lot happening there. And Raz had to deal with a whole can of worms, let me tell you. If you've not played Psychonauts 2, really good game. So this sequel is actually very contentious with fans, because a lot of people who like the first game don't like that the second game doesn't really feel a lot like the first game. It's a lot brighter. It's not as like dark in tone. It doesn't have as much dark humor in it. But I think personally, we had to wait so many years for this game. It's not going to feel the same. The art director Scott Z, his art style like pretty much completely changed, which is why the new characters look kind of different. They're more like noodly arms. They're less like polygonal shapes, hard shapes. But this game has very good reviews. Most people who play Psychonauts 1 and 2 back to back will say this is their favorite. People who grew up with Psychonauts 1 usually don't like this one. However, it didn't introduce a lot of new fans to the series, including me, so I'm thankful for it. Unlike the first game, Psychonauts 2 does not end in a cliffhanger, which kind of ties up the series. So we don't know if there's going to be a Psychonauts 3. The team has said repeatedly they would love to do more Psychonauts, but they're not really eager to get back into that development hell. So if we do see a Psychonauts game, it's probably going to be a long time in the future. Thankfully, the cast all really liked Psychonauts, so they probably will have the original voice actors back. Like Nikki Rapp, I've met her, I talked to her personally, and she was like, I will come back in a heartbeat for Psychonauts. I love Psychonauts. That was her first big role. She's really cool. She was at Fan Fusion, so if you ever go to Fan Fusion, she might be there. Okay, go ahead. But we have a little bit more trivia to wrap this up, and then if we have extra time, I might go into Psychonauts 2, too. But I think we only have like 6 minutes. So, which of these is not a power of Psychonauts 1? Pyrokinesis, confusion, mental projection, or clairvoyance? Go ahead. Mental projection. That is Psychonauts 2. And I will tell you, the little archetype that Raz makes is voiced by the voice of Gur in Invader Zim. And Raz is, of course, voiced by the voice of Zim. That's fun. Okay, this one's a harder one. Name 3 campers. Can you name 3 campers? I've said 2 of their names.
And I'm trying to think of like 3 others that you have.
Yeah, see if you can. Yeah, you go ahead. What are the 2?
I can think of Dogan and Bobby.
Dogan and Bobby. There we go.
Elka Doom.
Elka Doom. There you go. What's his name?
Kitty.
Kitty. Do you know what her best friend's name is? Her girlfriend.
I'm trying to remember the name of the weird little twins.
Oh, yeah.
This is fun for me.
I know.
Do you remember his last name? Is Boyd?
Boyd is an inmate at the asylum. Yeah.
There's Milton.
No. Not Milton. Milton's not a camper. That sounds like one of their names, but it's not what it is. I know who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Quentin? Yeah, that's who you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to give you the campers' names? Okay, let's see if I can remember them all. We have Elka Doom, Kitty and Frankie, her best friend. We have Bobby and Benny, who are the bullies. We have Vernon, who talks a lot. We have Maloof, Canola. We have Misha, who is his bodyguard, his Russian bodyguard. Let's see what else. We have more than that. We have Elton, who is the other kid who's afraid of water. We have Milka, who's the little invisible girl who's obsessed with him. And I think that's all of them. No, Quentin and Phoebe.
There's somebody else.
Who's else?
Oh, the suicidal one.
Oh,
Yes.
Crystal and Clash.
Yeah.
We got them all.
JT and his
Oh,
boyfriend.
JT and Chunks. Okay. Oh my god, there's so many campers. Okay,
Did you mention Nils too?
Nils! I hate Nils, that's why I forgot him.
I'm giving him. You giving the benefit of the doubt. Happened in his life.
Too.
Yeah. Okay. What is the name of this little guy? It's actually never stated in the game. It's A, muffin, B, bubbles, C, oatmeal, or D, buddy. You can guess. Go ahead.
Steve?
Yes, it's oatmeal. So, Raz calls him little buddy. The game calls him little guy. You only find out it's oatmeal from the game's files. And also, he's named after that part in Frosty the Snowman where one of the kids suggests oatmeal as the name for Frosty. So, also, I accidentally apparently chose two names that belong to Derpy Hooves. Yeah. I don't even know that. She told me. I was like, okay, good. Okay, this one's fun. The 100% completion cutscene for Psychonauts 1 reveals the relationship between which character? A, Raz and Lily. B, Mr. Pokelope and Linda. C, Lovato and Kristen. Or D, Sasha and Mia.
Hey, Mr. Pokemon.
Yes! So Mr. Pokelope and Linda have a past. Okay, and that's everything, I think. What time is it?
10:58.
10:58! Oh my gosh! Okay, how many of you had played Psychonauts 2?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you guys mind spoilers? Okay, so the part in Psychonauts 2 that got rewritten is Raz having a grandmother who is Lucretia Mux, who is also Maligula, who is the big villain of the game. Raz did not have a grandmother initially. In the Lipodoc, it mentions that his grandmother died in childbirth while giving birth to Augustus. Also, his grandmother, which this part comes into the game, Morona, is a part of the Galocios, who are the family that cursed them. And they cursed them because Morona and Lazarus Aquato had kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation going on. So those two families hated each other because they had a circus rivalry. Acrobats and sidekicks hate each other. So when they got together, her dad, Zalto Galocchio, decided to curse the Aquatos to all die in water. And Lazarus got remarried, had a bunch of other children, so Augustus had a bunch of siblings. They all died in horrifying accidents described in detail in the document involving water. Augustus was the only one to survive, and that's why he has so much trauma. And if you ask me, I think that one makes more sense to explain exactly the level of why he does not want Raz near psychics, because he witnessed all of his family die in water accidents. So, pretty interesting. What time is it now? It's 10:59. We gotta read it.
Yeah, let him off the hook.
Okay, I'll let you guys off the hook. I could yap about Psychonauts all day. And next year, Psychonauts 2 turns 5. So if they'll let me, I want to come back and do a Psychonauts 2 retrospective.
Also, I think your
hopefully-
computer is dying.
Also, my computer's dying? Oh my gosh.
The thing is flashing.
Oh, okay. Also, if you guys like fan art, I posted a zine, a free zine that you can check out online for absolutely free, with a bunch of Psychonauts fans who did a bunch of fan art for Psychonauts 1 specifically. It's called The Most Excellent Zine. If you just Google The Most Excellent Zine, you will find it. Great fan art. That poster that I gave you guys, that was actually one of my pieces for it, and it was a recreation of the memory vault from Raz. So, thank you guys for coming. I'm so glad people still like Psychonauts. That was fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Goodbye. I was streaming that to my Discord, my Psychonauts fan Discord server. So goodbye, guys. Okay.
It's that.
And if you guys like Donatella, I draw her all the time. So
I sure do.
also the Aquatos, I draw them all the time.
One of my favorite things
Yeah,
they
good.
do